Greetings, duelists. Welcome to another video. By the time of this recording, YCS Las Vegas has already concluded. I already showed first iteration of my Tearlaments deck profile after like 1 week of testing in the new format. And a lot of analogies have been brought up as term as how the format is developing. The video I'm going to make today is going to be something slightly different than usual. I'm going to be discussing about like tournament as a whole, what their position is in the format, and can this deck actually still compete? Um, as some of you guys know, there has been a lot of results from numerous events. I'll post a link in the description. Shout outs to Septo360. Like he made a spreadsheet, like detailing a lot of major events. And if you'll see it right there, you'll notice that no tournaments have topped anything. Um, there was no YCS results. There were no regional results. Like there was no major event results where tournaments did anything at all. And I kind of want to shed some light on that and like bring up like whatever their position is moving forward. As first, I'll do a rough overview of my current deck list and the changes because there were a couple of changes, and then we'll keep on the discussion moving forward. Um, so we have the standard for tier names. These four won't change at all. Sad for sad reasons. Um, I'm playing at second Tearlaments Kashtira now. Um, I found it very useful that if you end up mailing one, you can end up like grabbing another copy, and that will mean that you're mailing more and more cards. Um, it's also like a really good beat stick. It also like turns on your opponent's turn, and like just having that ability alone is very necessary since you don't have too many tier names, and it's 2800 per Lino, which does come up. Um, Lunas, these won't change at all. I like there might be other engines like for example Kashtira, but throughout testing and throughout my experiences with the deck, I don't think this will change at all. I think the Lunas really provide a lot to the deck, and I think tier players moving forward should really look into this engine. Like it just does too much with just so many little like resources. I cut Medora. I also cut Diviner. I felt throughout testing throughout the weekend and yesterday at locals that these should be enough. You like Diviners kind of win more if you do end up resolving it. Uh, there's the debate of playing the Mikango engine, like playing the Ritual Monster. If that is the case, then you could play Diviner. But I still think the Lunas do a way better job. But yeah, like it's more safe to play these since you won't be facing enough mirror matches. And if you end up playing like against Branded or you end up milling like a angler from a sprite player, it's not really a big deal. Like it really like doesn't doesn't hinder you as much as you would think. Color swap, that's mandatory. Like it has to be in every tier deck. Pretty much. It's an engine requirement. Um Black Wings Zephyros Delete, Channel Beast. The newest addition to my main deck now, and I don't regret this decision at all. This card won me like 4 games by itself. Cyberstein. Like, yeah, like the fact I won 2 games out of this summoning Roll Colors, 1 game out of this summoning Grapha, and 1 game out of this summoning Naturia Exterior, which is in my extra deck. I feel like you just need really unfair cards um, like cards that facilitate your win condition uh, with this deck. And this being a dark monster means you can shuffle it back from Mud Dragon. Um, this being less than level 5 means you can reborn it with Cross Sheep. And if you end up milling it, either Cross Sheep or Dugaris can summon this, and you can dump this with Sprite Sprint. So there's a lot of ways to get to this card, despite the deck count being over 40. Um, really good card. Spell cards. Planet. Tengi. Goods. Perfume. Still, I went back to Super Poly. As you've noticed earlier, I cut the dangers. I don't recall if I showed the deck profile, if I counted the dangers or not, but I'm not playing dangers anymore. And you'll see that I am also not playing talents anymore as well. I'll get to that discussion when I show like the cards that I cutted. Scream, Terraforming, Forge Goods, Poly. 19 spell cards. Trap cards. 3 Solic. Meta Noise. Karma, and Certainly Does. These 3 won't change at all. I went back and forth between 2 to 3 Solic, and the one card I played yesterday at locals was Crime. So there are 2 things I will need to say about talk about this card. Every time I saw it or I had access to it, it won me the game. There was one game. Shoutouts to my first round opponent. There was one game I won because I summoned Stein. I paid 5. I summoned Rokalos and I set Crime and Soliak. It was a very bricky hand. I had not too many options, but that's what I ended up doing, and it won me the match. But the thing about Crime is that there's no real benefit of this card being milled outside of like yesterday at my round 2 and my round 4, where I faced Runic. I faced 2 Runic decks, 1 Runic Sprite, 1 Runic Naturia, and I milled this twice. I milled this twice, and it ended up recovering 2 banished cards. But yeah, I feel like since the card does nothing by itself, and you need to search for it, and without click colors, it's really hard to get to this card without committing to like stuff like Foolish Goods. I felt just like the card was just a little bit win more, and I just couldn't run it. I also cut Diviner and Starfrost. People are not playing the ability anymore, at least not in my area. I think people just caught on that ability is not that really important to deal with, so that's why I'm not playing Starfrost. I don't play, as I mentioned beforehand, Diviner is like not really necessary. Like you have enough ways to like get to normal summons, and usually the normal summons that I want to be is either to do combos with the Lunarite engine or just summoning Rhino Heart in case I already milled like other key cards like Shadow Beast and King of the Swamp just to start triggering tier names. I also cut triple talents. The thing I noticed about this deck, and it's something really sad to say about Tearlaments, and I'll get to that during this discussion. You have to play a lot of engine cards now. The last of like the loss of kit colors and a lot of tier names means that if you aren't milling consistently, you're not progressing your game state. And like before, with the existence of kit colors, you could get away with it more. Also, you had more names. Um, Having more names and having kit colors meant that you could run a lot of non-engine because it meant that just half your deck was good enough to do everything that you needed uh, to keep playing. But now, without that, tier is in that spot where you kind of need your engine cards more than not. And if you not play with your engine cards, you are playing with like other like cards that kind of facilitate your like win condition. That's why like I'm playing the Luna Light engine. It's very similar to Branded in that regard, but Branded has a way higher ceiling because it can do a lot more plays with way less cards, like i.e. Branded Fusion or Fusion Deployment for Cartesia. Um, the last card I cut, you'll see in the asterisk, is I cut Baron. Without Diviner and without Visa Starfrost, you'd have no way of making this card. So, uh, I'll show what I replaced with it, which I think is kind of obvious since I already mentioned Severstein. Um, Cross Cheap, Sprint, Dweller, Bujin, Time Thief, Dugaris, Zeus. I already brought up, but this is a new edition. Natural Exterior. I've only summoned it twice, but it won me both games that I summoned it. One against Runic and one against Labyrinth. Rafa, Chimera, Winda, Garura. I did not summon this at all without Danger Nessie in the main deck. This is a very iffy card, but I'm still playing Super Polymerization, so this card's position is still warranted. And then Roll Colors, Mud, and Drugstore. So yeah, that's it for these. But yeah, like I brought up earlier, I think a big weakness of tier elements right now is three things. Like one, you need a lot of engine to like function with the deck. Two, um, Kashtira is very 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 popular, and Kashtira is like your hardest matchup. And another really hard matchup that I'm going to bring this up. We didn't see a lot of those variants or a lot of those deck types in the YCS. Um, but I think Runic has a really good like. I think Runic is a really safe pick in this format. Um, and that deck is also a deck that is really hard matchup for you, especially since the Shizu Shufflers are now limited. Um, is Tearlaments dead? I don't think so. I think Tears is still a very strong pick. I still think like the deck has not been solved. I think over time people will find like a way to like make the deck adapt and work itself in the format, at least at the regional level. Um, but yeah, like I think that is all for now. Um, I moving forward, I'll be working with other decks, and if I do find some changes that are notable for Tearlaments, I'll bring it up. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.